welcome back to Camera Collection. Today we're going to be looking at some light meters. Yesterday I just got my Lit Duo light meter and color meter all the way from Sweden. So I signed up for a Kickstarter a long time ago when this light meter came out or was announced, and I thought, wow, that sounds like a really great package, because a color meter is really expensive generally. I think they're over $1,000, and they just do one thing. They measure the color temperature of light and the spectrum of that light, which is a great tool for cinematography and photography if I'm looking for some more precise colors. Now this one also measures the quantity of light. So whether I'm shooting photography or cinematography, or I'm using flash photography, it is a tool for that, along with the color. I'm gonna go back to the beginning here, and the reason I brought out all the light meters that I have is because, well, I needed a new one anyway. This one here is the Sekonic Digilight F. Back when I went to college for photography and for filmmaking, you had to buy a light meter. It was fairly economical. As you see, it's all plastic. Takes a AA battery. It has a flash sync cord, so I could use this with flash photography as well as incident and cinema. At the time, I probably should have bought a Studio Deluxe Sekonic, which was more common. This looking pretty antique at this point. This tool is great because it's using a photo cell and requires no batteries. It does have a magnet in it, so you want to be careful where you put this thing in relation to magnets. But because of that, it works great basically forever, as far as I can tell. This one was decommissioned at film school, and so I kept on as a backup. You know, it's basically part of the camera collection at this point. Next in line, I have the Minolta Autometer 4F. So this meter also came out in the mid-90s, probably around the same time as that Sekonic that I bought in film school. And when my Sekonic died, put new batteries in it, and it starts up, and it just turns itself off. I reached out to a friend of mine who I went to college with. I knew that he probably wasn't doing any analog photography, didn't really have the need for a light meter. And I said, hey, do you still got a light meter? And he's like, actually, I do. So I bought this one off of him. It works great. It actually has an attachment somewhere. It's not right here now. That does a 5-degree spot reading as well, which is a handy tool, especially for, I really like using it for landscape photography. But anyway, still working, measures light, that's it. After I did the Kickstarter for the Lit Duo, which I think was around 550 euros or something like that at the time, it took quite a while. They were great about updating everything, about the features they were putting into it. I think at one point they were planning on making 2 different meters, one with both color and light and one with just light, and eventually just merged them, if I recall. I just started playing with this yesterday and I thought, I've got to make a video. While I was waiting for that Kickstarter, another Kickstarter came along, and I've been following this team at Reveni Labs. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're out of Canada, and they had been making some really tiny little meters for you could put on the shoe mount of your camera, analog photo cameras. So when this came along, I think the Kickstarter was around 130, and it also measures light and color. So I thought, well, that's gotta be great. It's about the size, I don't know, what is this, a lipstick container? And so it's machined aluminum. It's got an internal battery, which according to the manual says it should last for a very long time. A USB-C charging mechanism. Some sort of, I think this is an 1/8 inch port. There's a reflective meter port in the front, so I could use the reflective mode. And it's got a little hemispherical dome for light measuring. And I can take a reading, I can have it hold and continuously take a reading. It's got a little, presentation on the back of what the buttons are supposed to do. How would I use this light meter today? Most likely I'll take this on a trip. If I'm bringing with an analog camera, like a Hasselblad and some film, and I'm going to another country, bringing along this big Minolta light meter is a lot of extra stuff to throw into the bag. Now, it doesn't take up a lot of space, but this takes up a lot less space. And for the type of work that I do in analog photography, it's typically landscape. So I need a ballpark reading, and then I can go from there. I don't really need to take the studio-sized version of this light meter with me. This is also going to give me a ballpark color meter reading, So in the time between this shipping and the Lit Duo showing up, I used it on a few cinematography projects to measure the ballpark color range to find out, you know, where am I at right now. Some of the features on this that I really enjoy, the Lit Duo, it takes 3 AAA batteries. I can load those up with rechargeable batteries, and I discovered yesterday that I can actually charge those rechargeable batteries by plugging into a USB-C port, even on my computer. So that's really cool. I can charge the batteries inside the light meter, but it does also take regular AAA. So if I were to run into a situation anywhere in the world, you could find those batteries. This display is gorgeous. So I'm gonna go down to color spectrum. Hopefully my lighting today is not too out of whack from what the camera's doing. The colors on this display are gorgeous. The buttons are very easy to navigate. It looks almost like some sort of game controller, which is really fun. The orange activate button, the blue and the green buttons for menu and settings. I believe we have our hemispherical dome, which does not remove or change, and then a flat disc for, I think maybe either a wider or a more narrow reading, or perhaps that's where the color sensor is. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't read the specs on this. Menu and OK. And I'm back here just doing the general photo setting right now. And it's telling me that I'm at a 5.6.3 at ISO 800 under these lighting conditions. So it's a fantastically easy light meter to use. My favorite light meter of all time is probably the Minolta Spot Meter F. And you see here that it's really just a carcass that I haven't thrown away yet. I had asked a technician friend to see if they could revive it, but there was no hope. And as Minolta has been merged with several other companies, I think the days of getting that repaired are gone. I could buy another one, but you know, it may suffer the same fate as that one. It wasn't damaged, it's just the LCD screen stopped working. A 1 degree spot meter like that is really great for photography and cinematography if I'm trying to find out the exact value of a particular area in middle gray, as a spot meter will measure. Without that, I'm measuring the incident light. Most of these light meters are incident. There is a reflective mode here and a 5 degree attachment for this one, but nothing like pulling out a spot meter, a dedicated spot meter, and actually measuring different areas of the scene that you're trying to photograph. So why do I need a light meter in 2025? I think that, you know, if you're doing any kind of analog photography or filming, then you're going to definitely need a light meter. Using digital cinematography or digital photography and you're trying to figure out what your light values are, I think it's important to have a light meter. Trying to see that on a waveform or histogram isn't as easy as many people think it is. So when I'm looking at that, it's not exactly clear, you know, how much of a ratio is that between my key light and fill light. So having a light meter is going to be an easy way for me to judge that. Is it valuable? As a standalone light meter, I think that might be a tougher question. Having a color meter in 2025, I think, is more important than it ever was. And that's because we've got lights that are all over the place in terms of their color value and light spectrum. A lot of our practical lights in the background are going to be throwing off all kinds of color temperatures and spectrum. So we want to be able to calculate and correct for that. And having a light meter that's also a color meter is a super valuable tool. Finally, if you have a monitor that's capable of L zone or EL zone, it's basically like having a spot meter built into it. So in many ways, I mourn the loss of my spot meter F, but I've grown accustomed to using the EL zone on a small HD monitor as a way to figure out what my ratios are. So it's a lot more useful than false color, and it's giving me a better exposures since I've been using it.